Right now at 10, investigation underway. The KBI is investigating an officer-involved shooting in Cheneux. Plus, COVID concerns. There's growing concerns in Kansas as COVID cases continue to rise and hospitals feel the strain. Also,
following recent events in Afghanistan, a local VFW is creating a space for veterans to voice their concerns. I'm Bronte Sorotsky with how they plan to show their support.
And drowning increase. The number of drownings in Missouri is rising, and officials want to get a safety message out ahead of the Labor Day weekend.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Kansas Bureau of Investigation is investigating an officer-involved shooting in Cheneux. According to the KBI, the Cheneux Police Department contacted them around 8 Friday night to request assistance investigating the shooting. Preliminary information says the Cheneux Police Department received a report of a suspicious person looking into car windows in the area of 4th and Evergreen in Cheneux. A CPD officer responded to the area and located 28-year-old Brandon Schickling of Cheneux. When the officer tried to make contact with him, officials say he pulled a weapon and pointed it at the Cheneux officer. The officer then fired one time, striking Schlichting in the head. Schlichting was taken to the University of Kansas Medical Center and is currently in critical condition. One man is dead following a 2-vehicle crash in Bourbon County. The crash occurred just after 7:30 this morning. According to the Kansas Highway Patrol, 48-year-old Ira Toshevic was riding his motorcycle on Highway 69 near National Avenue in Fort Scott when he was unable to negotiate a right-hand curve and went left of the center, hitting another vehicle head-on. Toshevic was taken to Ascension Via Christi in Fort Scott, where he later died. The driver of the other vehicle refused treatment at the scene. Another nice, warm, muggy day outside. Nick Kelly joins us.
At least the rain from this morning, Chris, kept us out of the 90-degree heat, which is certainly thankful when we consider where we're headed in terms of the week ahead. But 70 this morning in Joplin, but after the rain cleared out, we topped out at 87. So not a bad temporary break from the heat, but heat advisories are back in force in northeast Oklahoma for tomorrow afternoon through tomorrow evening. That's one thing I'm watching. I'm also watching these thunderstorms coming out of north central and northeastern Oklahoma. I think the vast majority of those will stay just south of the region. But as we show you the day planner for tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a few of those showers or storms clip our very far southern counties overnight. Otherwise, we'll drop to 71, maybe a few areas of patchy fog, especially where you picked up a lot of rain this morning. But aside from a stray storm tomorrow, Chris, we're back into the heat with highs near 93. We'll break down the rest of the forecast here in a bit.
All right, Nick, thank you. There's growing concerns in Kansas as COVID-19 cases continue to rise and patients continue straining hospital resources. Governor Laura Kelly revealed Friday that COVID-19 infections are now spreading faster than the rate it was spreading before a vaccine was available. This has led to a spike in hospitalizations, which could be curbed if more people were vaccinated. The governor is urging Kansans not to wait to get their shot and to mask up in order to avoid the virus's spread.
Over the past several weeks, COVID-19 cases and related hospitalizations of Kansans of all ages have risen exponentially. It shouldn't be like this, but COVID-19 infections are more rampant today than they were before the vaccine was available. Not surprisingly, nearly all the people admitted to our ICUs with COVID-related issues are unvaccinated. Our healthcare system is being stretched to the max. Our counties are running low on resources to fight the virus.
According to Kansas health officials, Sunflower State hospitals have just 29% of ICU beds available for use. This has led to doctors postponing surgeries and sending patients further and further away for treatment when sick. Well, following the news of the Taliban's takeover of Afghanistan, many veterans are struggling to process how that situation played out. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky joins us live in the studio with how a local VFW in La Harpe, Kansas, is offering support to veterans and their families in the midst of this ongoing situation.
The images and videos coming from Afghanistan recently have been hard to watch, but are especially troubling for our veterans who fought overseas. So the VFW in La Harpe, Kansas hosted an informal meeting for all veterans to share their feelings about not only how the current situation overseas, but also how other experiences they wanted to open up about.
We embrace, we talk, we hug, we cry. and it's just between us.
Following the Taliban's takeover in Afghanistan, many local veterans say they feel upset over lack of planning and evacuation that has been playing out at Kabul's international airport.
Because of the downfall, the way it happened, we're angry. And some people have to get it off their chest. And if you are a veteran and you're out in the community and you want to say something, they're a little afraid to do so. So what we did is we brought it into our organization that any veteran is more than welcome to come here and speak openly about what's going on.
The VFW says they decided to hold this meeting after noticing many were upset within their community of veterans.
We're veterans and we take care of each other no matter what. We've been seeing a lot of things on TV, and as I told Doug, our commander, I said there's been a lot of 1-800 numbers on the TV for veterans to call if they want to talk. And we have a lot of veterans in this community. I think we need something like that to discuss it. And so that's why we opened up our doors to do so.
Veterans in attendance say just talking about the situation can alleviate some stress.
Anytime you can get a veteran to open up, it helps. It really does.
And even those who just wanted to feel supported but didn't want to speak up were able to do so at this meeting today.
Something that seems to be, very important, as you mentioned, with these images coming out of Afghanistan. It's stirring up a lot of memories, a lot of situations for some of these veterans.
Definitely. That's why I'm so glad they're able to have this space to receive support today.
All right, Bronte, thank you. Almost as many people have drowned in Missouri so far this year than in all of 2020. 5 people died in drowning in the state of Missouri in just 1 week here in August. And with Labor Day weekend quickly approaching, now is the time to make sure you're being safe out on the lake. Reporter Jacob Blount spoke with Water Patrol officials about the staggering rise in drownings.
In an accident with your boat and you get thrown out of your boat, and if you're injured or maybe unconscious, again, there is just no second chances.
Chris Barrett, chief of Western Taney County Fire Protection District, says his team assists with local water patrol.
We have experienced a big variety of drownings this year. I mean, from people just driving their car into the lake because they missed a turnoff and in the middle of the night just drive into the lake, to people like what we had the other day.
From August 6th to August 12th, 5 people died in the state from drowning, including one here at Table Rock Lake when a father drowned attempting to save his child in the water. Local Water Patrol Troop D says 7 people died from drownings in 2020 in southwest Missouri. And so far this year, the number has already reached 16.
And by the time they call and we get dispatch and respond, there is quite a time delay. And so unfortunately, normally there's no good ending to that.
We want our children to be safe.
Tina Tong and her family are trying something new on their vacation in Branson today at Table Rock Lake.
Actually, this is our first time ever swim in a lake.
Tong says her kids know how to swim, but she's watching to make sure they are safe and that they have their life jackets.
Whether it's a bathtub or it's a inside swimming pool or anything, we never leave our children alone.
The number one thing people can do is just wear a life jacket. And I know you get your suntan, you want to outplay, you don't want a life jacket, but it is really the only piece of equipment you have for defense.
Now, last year, there were 51 total drownings in the state of Missouri, and right now, 2021 already has had 43. We take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Chief Petty Officer G.W. Bowman served in the Navy during World War II, was stationed in Pearl Harbor at the time of the Japanese attack. He did survive that attack and later went on to join the Army Reserves as a Master Sergeant, his hometown, Parsons. We are proud to recognize Chief Petty Officer G.W. Bowman, tonight's four-state hero. Gone to the dogs. Still ahead on the KOAM News at 10, we're taking you to a special fundraiser for the Joplin Humane Society. And back in the old days, we're headed to Chautauqua for the Neosho River Nap-In. Well, the Joplin Greenhouse and Coffee Shop really went to the dogs today, but for good reason. Visitors were allowed to bring their four-legged friends to the greenhouse for their Fur Baby fundraiser. The greenhouse teamed up with the Joplin Humane Society and donated $1 for every drink sold at their coffee shop. Bandanas were also being sold, and $2 from every bandana sale went to the Humane Society. Humane Society representative says the Joplin Greenhouse and Coffee Shop is really passionate about helping four-state dogs find forever homes, and this fundraiser was their idea.
They actually reached out to us to see if we could do something with them. They've been really helpful today. They actually came out this week to take photos of dogs. They've been really hands-on with the program and everything.
Folks stopping by the greenhouse were also able to chat with Joplin Humane Society volunteers and learn more about how they can lend the shelter a helping hand. Well, the city park in Chautauqua, Kansas was the site for the second Neosho River nap-in. Tonight, we're going to tell you what napping is and introduce you to a man who's made it a lifelong hobby. Along the Neosho River in Chautauqua is the city park, and on Friday and Saturday, it played host to the Neosho River nap-in. Napping is shaping a piece of stone by hitting it and making stone tools or weapons, or even for building walls. Here, it was all about making arrowheads for a number of uses. The organizer, Aaron Ellison, says he got started in napping right here in Chautauqua.
When I got introduced to napping, the first place I made my first arrowhead was right here. And then they told me about what was called a nap-in, where people around the area get together, camp together, break rock together, trade stories, arrowheads, all sorts of stuff. And I thought, you know what? I want to go to a nap-in, but they're all so far away. Okay, I'm gonna make one here.
Verl Keeter's from Muskogee and a citizen of the Cherokee Nation. His interest in napping began many years ago.
I began to see arrow points and artifacts and wondered how they were made.
As he researched, he learned more about his tribe's history and some of its lost history.
The Cherokees did not come to Oklahoma with the astute knowledge of making the artifacts that previously had been made. They had pretty much lost the art.
He took his interest and made it into a lifelong project, earning him the honor of being a Cherokee National Treasure.
I try to perpetuate this art and the customs and the ideals of the Cherokee people and relate that back to previous times.
On Saturday, he shaped an arrowhead just for us, giving a full demonstration from start to finish on how arrowheads were made back in the old days. Keeter travels the nation, sharing his knowledge and, of course, shares it with the Cherokee down in his own backyard. So he mentioned specifically that that Verl there had made an arrowhead, and you saw him making that. And I wanted just to bring it out. This is actually what he made. He worked on it the entire time I spoke with him. It started out as a fairly sizable chert rock, and then just using a copper hammer, he broke this sucker down and turned it into this little arrowhead here. And he spent probably 20, 30 minutes making it. And he said it's not the greatest work he's done. He can do a lot better, but he had limited time, and that's what he made. So if you ever have an opportunity to check out a nap-in event, if you've got an interest in arrowheads or anything like that, make sure you search for him on Facebook. We've got more KOAM News at 10 coming your way. We're going to start with Nick Kelly.
Yes, indeed, Chris. When we come back, we will focus on the returning heat and maybe a couple storm chances on the way. We'll get to the forecast next. We were thankful for the rain that came on through this morning because it kept most of us from the 90-degree heat. That's a very temporary break from the heat, though, because we have plenty of 90-degree days lined up for much of next week. But it was still nice to see the rain work on over Indigo Sky Casino Resort outside of Seneca, Missouri this morning. And you see what it left behind on the rest of the time lapse. After the rain, a little cloudy to start the morning out, and then we saw a good deal of partly sunny skies, which kept us quiet for much of the day, thankfully. But all this rain that came on through this morning certainly added up for many of us. On the average, area-wide, about an inch of rain, just over that to be specific, 1.1 inches. But for areas around the Veda back towards Stockton Lake, there has been a pocket of 3 to 5 inches of rain. That resulted in some flash flood warnings for a time this morning, but those faded away by about 10 o'clock this morning. We kept quiet for much of the afternoon and the evening so far, but I have been keeping an eye on these thunderstorms that have been trying to come out of north central and northeastern Oklahoma. You can see how most of these are gravitating toward the east, but notice the storms around Tulsa sending an outflow boundary out. Winds coming out from the storms. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes these outflow boundaries can try to trigger some additional, at least isolated showers and storms. We'll see if that's the case during the overnight as this tries to skirt across our very far southern counties. With the big story for tomorrow, the heat advisories for northeast Oklahoma everybody in Northeast Oklahoma, until 8 o'clock tomorrow evening, because it'll definitely be hot and humid down there, while the rest of the area will just be, well, back into the heat as we wrap up the weekend tomorrow. At 10:19 on the Saturday night, we're looking okay in Joplin, but still warm and a bit muggy, 77 degrees. Dew point in the lower 70s, trying to make it feel like 78 outside. Most of us are in the mid to upper 70s, but maybe a few spots like Welch and the Wada trying to hold on near 80. A little humidity out there is trying to make it feel like the lower 80s in some spots, but eventually we will drop back to about 71 degrees, despite some cloud cover out west rolling in. Cloud cover emanating from these bands of showers and thunderstorms. Again, much of that action is going to be riding right along the front. The same front that brought the storms in this morning, parked just to the south of the region. However, it's ready to head back over the region as it lifts north tomorrow, because the upper level ridge building to the south, that's definitely going to pick up steam tomorrow. That's what's going to force the front back up to the north. While that might try to bring a few storms our way tomorrow, that's just setting the stage for a pretty hot week ahead of us. Let's break down your Future Track forecast. The Future Track, I think, is doing a good job on what I'm thinking. The storms out west will primarily stay out across eastern and northeastern Oklahoma, but again, can't rule out a few stragglers, maybe a couple isolated showers or storms overnight in our far southern counties, partly to mostly cloudy otherwise. And for some of you that picked up quite a bit of rain this morning, maybe some patchy fog if you can get the skies to clear a little bit. But everybody drops back to 71, mid-80s for a dry afternoon to start things out. But as that front lifts back through, I'm not going to rule out a few isolated storms in the afternoon, but 71 in the morning, 86 by noon, highs near 93. And the reason why those heat advisories are out, everyone may be around 93 tomorrow, but a little hotter northeast Oklahoma, and certainly with more humidity, it's going to feel like at least 105, while the entire region, the rest of the region for that matter, is going to feel like we're close to 100 for tomorrow. But this is what I wanted to show you before we start to send things back over to Chris and Danny. This is our main feature from early next week. That upper level ridge parked on top of the region for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. It may not be too terribly humid, but 96 on Monday, 98 for Tuesday, 97 on Wednesday. Why is that ridge breaks down a little bit, Chris, by the end of the week? Hopefully that can send the highs back in the lower 90s and allow maybe a storm or two to come back our way.
It's kind of like a little roller coaster out there with these temperatures.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're heading back up on this roller coaster.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the dive.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Danny Terzer joining us now with sports. Some exciting news. For some, the wait for football is over.
We caught up with a unique local football program who began their season today. Also, Colgan wrapped up their first full week of practice. The Panthers season preview is coming up next. The Colgan Panthers wrapped up their first week of practice. Colgan is coming off a 7-3 season, but graduated a big senior class. This year, there's only 4 seniors on the Panthers squad. Many are returning from injuries and have extra motivation to make their last year special. The Panthers are relying on those guys to help lead this young group, especially through a tough early schedule.
We lost so many seniors last year and so few returners. This year will be young and new, but you know, we feel good about up front, the guys we've got coming back. 3 guys with a lot of experience from last year. They're very smart, very intelligent, and really make things click. But you know, I think our backfield has the potential to be very good as well, with the likes of Aiden Fleming and Cooper Simmons and Jalen Van Beesler.
Missouri high schools kick off football season next week, but for some local high schoolers in southwest Missouri, the season starts today. These are the Cornerstone Spartans, an 8-man football team made up of mostly homeschooled athletes.
You know, I'd have missed out on the opportunity to play the great sport of football, but, you know, because this team exists, I'm really lucky and I get to play.
It still gives me an opportunity to be able to get some college attention, possibly be able to go to a college to play football. When I was homeschooled, that was one of the things that I was nervous about, not having a team to play for, and now I do. I'm pretty happy about it.
The program began around 2008.
It was started by a guy who he homeschooled his kids, and they had nowhere to play once they finished JYFA, so we started this team.
In the 2020 season, the Spartans went winless.
Well, most of our players are returning players, and they're mad from last year. They're like, all right, we got to get a win. No more years like last year.
The Spartans play an 11-game schedule. Saturday was their home opener.
I've been waiting 9 months for this game because we didn't win a single game last year, and I wanted to come out and get some redemption.
Redemption is what they got. The Spartans defeated Northwest Arkansas 46-0.
It feels great to get, our first win in over 650 days. It's good to get a win. That way these boys know what it feels like to win. That way they can keep pursuing this, winning mentality.
Winning the championship is, of course, the goal, but it's more than just that.
I want to make sure all these boys, come through the program and get through. They get this high school football experience.
The Spartans also welcome players that attend private and public high schools but don't play for their school team. The Royals continue their road series against the Cubs today. Kansas City topped Chicago in Game 1 with the help of 2 homers by Salvador Perez. Perez scratched from today's lineup with a headache. In the second, Nicky Lopez singles to center. Emmanuel Rivera scores to double the Royals' lead. Chris Bubich on the mound for Kansas City gets Patrick Wisdom here. Then he retires Matt Duffy. He goes 6 1/3 with 9 strikeouts. Later, Michael A. Taylor drives it into the left corner for a double. Andrew Benintendi coming home. This play will be reviewed, and he does score. Royals get the 4-2 win and take their second straight series. The Cardinals are in the middle of a home series against the Pirates. They dropped the first game 4-0. Tonight, St. Louis loses a close one, 5-4.
Well, I mentioned earlier, it's good to see the Royals back on an up and up for winning. And hey, that's not bad for the Cardinals. Come off an 0-4 loss and then come up 4-5. They're playing better.
Hopefully they can get the win tomorrow.
That would be nice. I'd hate to see them get swept again.
Absolutely.
Danny, thank you so much. We're going to be right back. Nick Kelly, final check of that forecast.
We're going to stay thankfully mild tonight. We'll watch for maybe a few storms in the morning and again in the afternoon, but the heat's back tomorrow. We're back to 93, almost upper 90s for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Definitely going to be a warm one. Danny, final check in sports.
Football's back for the Cornerstone Spartans. They won their season opener today.
Good deal.
All right, guys, thank you so much. That is our time for now. Remember, we're always on KOAMNewsNow.com and with that KOAM News Now app, and thanks for making us part of your night.